What's up, members of the Peter Griffin household? It's your host with the most, Troublesome Junction, back at it again with another Hornby Clockwork Thomas review. Now, this one is probably going to be a very weird type of video because it's like, duck, it's just a Hornby Troublesome truck. What can you say? Again, I am very big about toy preservation and documentation on these things, and I want to give thorough reviews on every piece of merchandise. Outside of maybe doing the other Troublesome truck and then Ben, because I just did one on Bill. But I still would love to talk about these guys. It gives me an excuse to not only run these guys, but talk about them more. So that's why we're here. So if you're not caught up with this line, this is the Hornby Clockwork Thomas and Friends line. It was a line that ran from, I believe, the 80s to like 2003. They had many iterations of Thomas and even Percy that utilized the original Clockwork mechanism right here that was an 040, but then over time they got more specific where they stopped using compatible with HO00 wheels, much like, I can actually grab them right here, like this Percy right here, to its own sort of thing with smoother wheels if I pull over Bill right here, and really was more or less like a Hornby Jr. type of deal. And I am a very big fan of this line. I think the Hornby Clockwork stuff is super underappreciated. I love it to death. So all of the pieces of merchandise I love talking about. I'm not only doing a video on this, but I'll also be filming a video on Toby. So be sure to look out for that one. So we have a very simple package here. Just has the Hornby logo, all the characters you can get, the item, of course, in question, and then the classic Thomas the Tank Engine logo. You know, in all honesty, with this packaging, it kind of feels like a mash between the old Ertl Thomas and Friends packaging and then sort of the 2000s era Ertl packaging. It feels like a mashup between the two of those, and I'm really digging it. It's crazy, you know, this thing at one point was going for around £9 British because, man, these things go for a hefty price tag. As mentioned in the Bill video, this I paid around $20 for, and for Toby I paid around $30. Back of the packaging, there are some versions of the packaging that have the characters and show what you could get, kind of like the back of normal Hornby Thomas and Friends packaging. Looks like this is issued for $19.99, which I don't know if that's entirely right because I don't remember this version of the truck being around then, but I could be completely wrong.
No. Wait.
What the hell is wrong with you?
So after angering like half the Thomas and Friends community, we do have the Troublesome truck out of package here. And it looks phenomenal, but it also looks just like the traditional Hornby Troublesome truck. It is basically an identical mold to that Troublesome truck, outside of the fact that it has these flat plastic wheels with a metal axle, and then of course the Hornby Clockwork Thomas and Friends coupling system here. Now, this video is definitely not going to be very long by any means because there's only so much you can say when it comes to a 7-plank wagon, but we are going to be doing some comparisons here. So I do have the Bachmann Scruffy here. Oh, if you've been subscribed to my channel for years and years, you probably remember me doing a review on this guy when I didn't have any HO scale track. I was very just excited to own this guy. So comparing the two in size, the Hornby one is a lot longer, as you can see, but that is because it actually utilizes the base of the original Hornby 7-plank wagon, which these ones are just significantly longer. This one was from the Caledonian Bell set. I just slapped a take-along Troublesome truck face on there. I actually did a review on that Hornby set years and years ago. Man, 7th grade, what a time. But as you can see here, they're almost identical in not only color, but they're 100% identical in mold itself, outside of, I think this hole here has been specifically tailored to accommodate for this axle because it does not have the traditional Hornby, you know, model train wheels. This would be, of course, compatible with HO00, you know, track, whereas this goes on the specific Hornby Clockwork track, as you can see here. But it is very nice to see that, you know, even though this is for a different line, all of the detail for the Troublesome truck has been carried over. That face, man, you know, this face looks absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I guess the only thing you can complain about is that in the show, it is not rectangular, whereas this looks more like the shape of Scruffy's face, or, you know, the traditional square face Troublesome truck, where this face is supposed to be a square, but I honestly kind of don't know why they didn't make it a normal square, because if you look at the other Hornby Troublesome truck that has a face that is similar to this one right here, that one has a square face. So a little strange that they didn't opt in for that one, but nonetheless, it is a very nice looking Troublesome truck, and is definitely better than the original Hornby Troublesome truck, which was, you know, enough to make anyone cry. That Troublesome truck is just so weird. It brings a smile to my face every time I see it. But it does bring up a very interesting point. And why didn't Hornby opt into using a wagon that's more close in size to this one right here, more similar to the ocean wagons, which are a very ubiquitous type of Hornby rolling stock? And I think in terms of scale, look, and appearance, I think that one is far more accurate to what a Troublesome truck looks like in terms of size. Maybe it was a case of they just stopped using that mold, because I don't really think there were very many, you know, smaller ocean plank type of wagons that were released I do believe that they were still released, but I don't think they were as common or as ubiquitous as the traditional, you know, 7-plank wagon that Hornby utilized here. So it definitely does make sense from, you know, a standpoint with the Hornby Thomas and Friends line, basically for most characters taking existing molds and then just slapping a, you know, new coat of paint and a face on it and calling it Thomas and Friends. But that's what we love about it. So giving it a full 360 here. It does have nice rivet detailing on the back here, but of course this isn't, you know, some kind of premium Troublesome truck. I mean, for Pete's sakes, this thing retailed for about £9, which, man, I'm telling you, Hornby, if you ever renew the Thomas and Friends license, please give this line some more love. I'd love to see it come back, either in Clockwork or in battery-powered form. This is a very nice model nonetheless. However, the chassis itself, with it being not only having these specific flat type of wheels and the very unusual coupling, you cannot use this on traditional HO00 scale track, and it's really not compatible with a lot of other track systems, as discussed in my build video. However, if you do have access to the traditional Hornby Clockwork track, or even, as you see here, this Erdl Thomas and Friends track, you can make it work for this line. Even with the coupling system, it is unfortunate that it is so specific, because that means you can only really connect it up to other Hornby Thomas and Friends lines. You just take it, you push it together, and it is a very solid connection. Does not really have a lot of give for hills and stuff like that, like you know, the Thomas and Birdie set, that one did come with a hill, but even then, I think the hill was meant for Birdie. There were no traditional hills that were incorporated into any of the playsets that had these. They didn't sell it in the track packs. But as for the coupling, it is a very solid coupling. I understand why they would want to opt into something like this rather than the traditional hook and loop system back here. Not even the main engine had the actual little hook that you can see on normal rolling stock. And I have definitely seen my fair share of Hornby, or even, you know, Bachmann, you know, rolling stock and engines that have broken couplings. So for a kids line, I can understand wanting to get something a little more robust, but it definitely does limit it. So it's one of those things where it's got some pros, but it definitely has some major cons to that. But back to the Troublesome truck itself, it is a very lightweight model. There's no lead in this whatsoever, but it makes sense because being pulled by a Clockwork engine definitely is not going to be as powerful as a traditional, you know, Hornby electric motor. Granted, I don't even think the normal 7-plank wagons have it. I really can't do a comparison because this one actually does have weight and then a custom coal load added to it. But it is one of those things that it really doesn't make a lot of sense to add that, because these would be traditionally pulled by, you know, shunters and anything, you know, a lot of smaller locomotives, or if it's being pulled by big locomotives, you're probably going to have a massive rake of these things, so you wouldn't want them to be too heavy. However, if they are too light, they do have the tendency to just flop off the rails and, you know, easily derail. But I don't think that's really going to be a problem with these guys. So we've done the comparisons, we've given an overview on this guy. Not really going to be too long of a video, but we are going to put this guy on the track being pulled by Bill and just showcase it being pulled around. So that's all I gotta say for this video. If I were to give any final ratings or thoughts on this guy, it's an absolutely solid Troublesome truck. If you're able to find it for a very cheap price, I think it's a very solid display piece. Unfortunately, if you are looking for something that is, HO/OO scale compatible, you will have to look otherwise for Hornby's other offerings for Troublesome trucks. But nonetheless, I think for what this is, and for this line specifically, we needed Troublesome trucks. You really can't have a Thomas & Friends line without having some kind of goods alternative, rather than just having only Annie and Clarabelle. So, if I were to give a final rating for this guy, I would say for the line itself, I'd give it a solid 9 out of 10. It is a very nice looking Troublesome truck. It's a very solid build. Honestly, I want to have an army of these like most Thomas & Friends collectors do. But if I were to give it a general rating for just Thomas collectors in general, I would probably say, unless you are collecting this line or you just want a Troublesome truck to have, I would honestly give it maybe a 6.5 out of 10. It's a very nice looking Troublesome truck. It's awesome, but it is a very, very specific and situational Troublesome truck. Only really for this line, unless you want to go through and change out the wheels and the couplings, but at that point, just buy the original Hornby Troublesome trucks. So that's all I gotta say for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.
Spent ass! Spent ass! Yes! Spent yes!